There's some hoes in this house, there's some hoes in this house, there's some hoes in this house. I said certified freak, 7 days a week. Wet ass pussy, make that pull like game week. Yeah, you fucking with some wet ass pussy. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass pussy. Give me everything you got for this wet ass pussy. Up, baby, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this pussy right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I wanna ride. I do a Kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This pussy is wet, come take a dive. Tie me up like I'm surprised. Let's roleplay, I'll wear a disguise. I want you to park that Big Mac truck right in this little garage. Make it cream, make me scream. Out in public, make a scene. I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you how I got this ring. Gobble me, swallow me, drip down the side of me. Quick jump out for you, let it get inside of me. I tell him where to put it, never tell him where I'm about to be. I run down on him for I have a baby running me. Talk your shit, bite your lip. Ask for a call while you ride that dick. You really ain't never got a fucking for a thing. He already made his mind up before he came. Now get your boots and your coat for this wet ass pussy. He bought a phone just for pictures of this wet ass pussy. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet ass pussy. Now make it rain if you wanna see some wet ass pussy. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you fucking with some wet ass pussy. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass pussy. Give me everything you got for this wet ass pussy. I'm talking wop, wop, wop on this wet ass pussy. Macaroni in a pot, that's some wet ass pussy. Give me everything you got for this wet ass pussy. There's some hoes in this house, there's some hoes.
When I'm away from you, I'm happier than ever. Wish I could explain it.
Shit. Damn, it's so long.
I wish it wasn't true.
That was so weird. Okay. Wait, it's not muted. Okay. Okay. Wait, why is it this side? Oh, that's weird. Just that's weird. It's shifted. What the oh man. No, it's not it. Oh, it's below now. Oh man. Meh, it's fine. Wait, what's the door up?
You clearly weren't aware that you made me miserable.
That is okay. Then listen to something. Dr. K. It's something. Interviews, more interviews, maybe. Interviews.
Wish I could explain it better.
Okay.
I wish it was
What should I watch now? What is oh, this one. Maybe. Okay, music. No.
And Asmongold.
Okay. Okay, let's start. I have 2 commissioned to finish today. Okay, let's just start.
On Friday. And today we're going to be
Anyway,
talking
let's go.
with
Let's do this quickly. Quickly. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And what do you go by?
Soren, typically.
Soren. Okay.
Soren is good.
And
a new one
you
already.
can call me.
I'm gonna delete the
Dr.
old
K.
file.
Whatever you prefer.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on, Soren. How you doing?
It's
today?
lucky. It's lucky as fuck.
I'm nervous, but I'm good.
I think most people usually are, and I still don't know quite what to do about that.
There's only so much you can do, I think.
Yeah. So what are you nervous about?
Just being vulnerable on such a kind of open platform. I mean, that's the kind of beauty of it, but that's also, I guess, what makes me nervous, at least.
Yeah. And are you planning on being vulnerable today?
I think it's kind of hard not to be on your channel from the talks that I've seen.
Well, yeah, the fair point. But, we can help you not be vulnerable if you don't want to.
No, I mean, I think being vulnerable is a good thing. It's just a difficult thing.
Absolutely, man. Well said. Well said. And did you have an idea of what you wanted to talk about today?
Also, I'm thinking of like just.
Where we can start, and then
sure.
I'm happy to go
maybe it's kind of loud.
wherever you kind of see the conversation going, or any observations that you might have.
Sorry, 1 second. Sorry.
They can see me now.
Yeah. So.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
I'm just
where would you like to start?
On this. Shut up. Okay. I'm gonna shut up.
It might be hard for me to kind of vocalize this because I haven't really told anyone, but so in League of Legends, whether you're coaching or playing, there's a very distinct like on season and off season, and people grind really hard in the on season, and then you have a lot of free time, sometimes even kind of months where you're not doing, where you're not really working, and I feel sometimes like I'm two different people, especially in terms of the things that I really miss in season are the things that I feel like are really different, are especially I don't really have a lot of feelings during the season. I'm very like robotic.
Okay.
Good things, bad things. I'm pretty stoic.
Okay.
And that feels pretty different when I'm off season. I'm definitely more in touch with my emotions, I feel like.
Okay.
And the other thing is kind of just creativity, I guess, or seeing things from a different perspective, being more aware of my surroundings and kind of aware of myself even. I'm
just gonna shut up now.
In the season, I feel like that kind of goes away, and I'm really just grinding, and sometimes I don't really have a good perspective on how to solve issues or see things in a different way. And
this streams I can record this
during the season, and I feel like those are kind of some of my best
there's no reason
times where I'm able to.
I can just do this off
more
stream,
aware
but
of what I'm doing,
I record
I can kind of optimize
off stream,
the
but
way that I'm
still.
living and working and trying to do my job the best that I can.
Okay, so let me just kind of repeat back what I heard, make sure we're on the same page.
Sure.
First of all, Soren, this sounds like very intriguing to me. I'm
Wait, I saw that people do this.
It seems like an observation that I actually have like imagined very few people actually
think
have
that
the awareness
might
to sort of
be
make.
helpful.
It seems like a very kind of.
Wait, can I move it in between?
It seems like you're aware of your internal environment and how much that can change drastically between the on season and the off season. Is that a good way to put it?
Mm-hmm.
And so you've noticed that you maybe don't feel a lot of things during the season, and then the off season, are we saying that you feel too much, or you feel a normal amount, or what?
Yeah. Can I move this like
a normal amount?
Okay.
Can I reorder this?
As soon as the season is over, but
can I reorder this shit?
Things like I'm able to kind of cry when it's appropriate.
Ayan, I just start
the word that I would use.
as Carter.
And then you also mentioned something about awareness and how you're able to see things differently during the off season.
Are you doing?
And then maybe you're not quite as aware of things during the on season. And then you also said that sometimes when you have been aware during the on season, that it's been actually really good.
Mm-hmm. Have I said?
Can you help me understand that?
I How are you guys doing?
I think it's just the times we're in the
Wait,
on-season.
you guys playing together?
It's just really being aware of team
you guys are
dynamics or
playing
issues
together.
or how we can
Oh,
improve the way that
how
we are
was
working
it?
together or talking to each other or.
It's
obviously really
how was it?
when you are aware of those things.
Nice. Just doing some small rigging to this. Nothing.
I think a lot of people in the League of Legends
interesting
really,
to watch.
well, just talking to people, they feel like they get really lost in the sauce during the season, and they just
nice.
End up kind of going through in the motions and kind of doing the
Also,
same
I'm
things over
listening
and
to
over again, and
a
after the season is
podcast
over, it's like,
in the
wait, what? I
background.
was just doing this thing kind of over and over again, and not really able to reflect and see things from a different perspective.
I'm just gonna keep working on this.
I very much feel that same way.
I'm noticing that there's a lot of autopilot once the season starts. It's just grind.
I have a lot of commission this month.
I think in the beginning,
like a lot.
Are motivated and excited
can
and
attach
trying new things
new
and more
image?
creative, and then kind of as the season goes on, as the
I haven't ever
months of
used
grinding
this
goes on,
before.
a lot of things become more
I haven't used the projects
How do you
tab
understand why
ever.
that happens?
I should try to use it at some point.
Maybe just the sheer amount of hours. I'm not really sure. I mean, I didn't have a day off from late December till
You can see the image
like the second
here.
week of April.
Take your Atlas
Of course, I had time off, but I didn't have a kind of day off.
You can open it?
So I think obviously the time where you're away from the game and the time where you're doing different things and away from the team, I think that definitely gives you kind of a different perspective and more time to self-reflect.
That sounds insane.
I'll look into this later.
Yep.
I haven't never used this docked before.
This may sound like, and
Is
you
it
know,
really-
I don't want to.
Okay, have
if we start
fun.
close to
See you
anything that
guys.
could be like, you know,
Thanks for the raid.
sharing internal secrets or things like that, please steer. You know, I'm just going to ask you a question. Just let me know if anything I ask is out of line. But how on earth do you not have a day off in 4 months? How does that work? Why?
Well, I think most people do is just I'm the head coach, so on the typical off day, I'm usually watching our matches for the weekend and preparing them for our meetings next week. I'm having meetings with my staff. I'm having meetings with my general manager, head of esports, and also CEO. So
that's on your off day.
Yeah, because it's hard to fit it in on my on my work days.
Okay. Well, you know, Soren, I know this may be a little bit different from what you had originally said, but I think that may be worth talking about. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it could be worth talking about.
What makes it hard to fit in meetings
Can I
with
set
your CEO and
the
general
default name of
on
this
your work
deformer?
days?
There must be a way to adjust it. There must be a way.
No, I mean I definitely could.
Canvas setting,
The evening.
grid
It's just
setting,
a lot of the time I'm
shortcut, back of file,
just from
temper. Oh, that's wait.
I think
there's
a
no
typical
setting for that.
Work day. We meet up at 10, and then we're kind of done with team practice around. It's either 6 p.m. or maybe 8 p.m.
Wait, it.
And then on some days of the week, I'm having kind of individual meetings with the players. And,
some place I can do that.
The last day of the week, going into matches, there's also always a lot of prep around kind of different aspects of the game. The opponent, the draft. I'm responsible for a lot of that. Not the prep for the opponents, but I have a strategic coach that helps with that. But it's just hard to fit things in. And I also need to have a little bit of off time, obviously, on those days, or I kind of might lose my mind.
Yep, absolutely. So let me ask you something. What would happen if you missed 2 hours of team practice on Monday?
It's fine. Okay, let's keep going then.
Monday's actually our day off, but yeah, on Tuesday, I don't know what would happen because I haven't tried. I mean, sometimes I do ask my assistant coach to take over for me if I'm just really exhausted, or if I just want a different perspective, see someone else lead meetings and review. But I haven't been away from practice at all.
What keeps you so close to practice?
I mean, I'm a new coach. This is my first 5 months of coaching, so I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do, and I just feel like I guess I need to work harder than everyone else because I'm so new in coaching. But I still want my team to do. I don't want to hold my team back. So I guess I just want to make the most of every opportunity to learn and grow and become better. What are you smiling for?
Oh, Soren. Okay.
Shit.
You're damn right, shit. Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit, okay? So, sorry if did I just make you nervous by smiling and saying you're damn right, shit?
No, I mean, I know I definitely have a little bit of a maybe toxic productivity kind of mindset.
Tell me what. Okay, what do you mean by toxic?
Okay, let's do one by
mindset?
one.
Can you help us understand
so
that
group
phrase?
All of this. This is not simple, so but it's tracking. Another one for physics. Another one for the taco. It should be enough.
I don't really know how to phrase it.
Okay,
maybe you can help me there.
Yeah, is it okay if we dig into this today?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you that question 2 or 3 more times because I suspect that we're going to get to feelings that may feel actually uncomfortable. And my concern is that you have such a toxic productivity and growth-oriented mindset that even if things are uncomfortable, you'll never say no.
Well, a big part of why I'm even here is that I'm just trying to get outside my comfort zone more.
Okay.
And I guess that's
because you're trying to grow, right? Because screw your comfort zone. Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, gotta grow, whatever the cost to you.
Okay, eyes, crying, hurt, and glow.
A little bit.
Okay. I think that's what toxic productivity. I've never heard that phrase before, but I think it's well said. Well, so let's start with this, okay? I'm going to lay things out and then we're going to explore. And the reason I'm going to lay things out is because I'm imagining that there's a part of your mind that's really, really concerned about like stepping into a trap of some kind.
Okay.
You mentioned you were nervous. I think you're going to have a tendency to set aside your own feelings for the sake of growth. So I'm going to try to alleviate this a little bit. It's not usually how I work. Usually we'll have the revelation at the end, but I'm just going to give it to you anticlimactically at the beginning, and then we're going to explore it. And the reason I'm going to do that is that I hope it'll put your mind a little bit at ease. Okay. So the first thing is that, you know, I've seen this a lot. So I've worked with a fair number of esports organizations before, and not just esports, but basically any high-performing, top-tier, like 0.1% organization you go to. So I've seen this at places like Harvard Business School. I've seen it at hospital systems, you know, tech companies.
Let's talk over these things.
There's this idea that more is better. So, for example, like in residency training, like we do like 24-hour calls, we do 30-hour calls. There's this idea that like, you know, if you work 80 hours a week or working 100 hours a week is better than working 80 hours a week. You know, that working more is better. And I've struggled a lot to sort of like get people to experiment with this. And I'd say the hardest uphill climb I've ever had to make, which I failed to make, was working with a Korean Overwatch team. And
that's going to be a challenge.
And they just didn't like accept that working less could lead to better results. And this is where, and I've managed to convince some people that actually, like, you know, rather than doing team practice for 12 hours a day or 8 hours a day, that doing team practice for like 4 hours, 6 hours a day, and doing like an hour of meditation and yoga and an hour of like something else actually leads to like better outcomes than just grinding. What do you think about that?
I think one of the most difficult things about the game that I was playing professionally for a long time and I'm coaching is that it changes a lot. That really rewards the grinders because the game is always changing a lot. So you always need to adapt and figure out what's strong, what counters this new thing that's strong, this thing that was powerful, it's now been made maybe 5%, 10% weaker. Is it still viable? Which situations is it viable? So it really rewards grinders, and honestly, the biggest grinders are the most successful in League of Legends.
Okay.
So it does require putting in a lot of hours, but of course, up until a certain point.
Yeah. So and this is where ultimately you're the expert here, right? Because I don't know how many hours of grinding before you start hitting diminishing returns. It's generally speaking been my experience that people tend to overemphasize grinding, and I don't know really and each esport is different, but it's been my experience that most of the time, like in 80% of the esports orgs I've worked with, that de-emphasizing grinding usually leads to better performance.
I don't think the T should be in
thoughtful, here. It doesn't mean that you're not thinking about the game. It's just being thoughtful about your practice is actually better than like grinding.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But that's not where we're gonna go. What we're gonna go
then what I would say when I was a player is, why can't I be thoughtful while grinding?
Yeah. Okay. So there it is. Okay. So why would you say that as a player? Where does that come from?
Because that sounds like the best of both worlds. You're kind of getting all the benefits.
Right.
Being more deliberate in your practice, but also
shooting for the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but what we're going to talk about is you feel like you have a lot of catching up to do.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you felt that way?
Wow. In general, I assume you mean more in general.
Yeah.
We're hitting the big stuff. I don't know if it's the big stuff, but it's pretty public. I made a Facebook post many years ago that I was bullied really heavily in school, from 4th grade till 8th grade when I actually dropped out of school. And dropping out of school kind of caused me to play a lot more video games, which somehow turned into a job, which somehow brought me where I am now. So I was really fortunate in that sense, but I was kind of in and out of school for, I can't remember how long, because honestly, a lot of my young past is kind of a blur at this point. But I was in and out of school for a long time. I pretty much didn't leave my room. I didn't see anyone outside of my family, and had a lot of anxiety interacting with other people.
I was a comma.
Even when I started going to esports tournaments, I felt just like very underdeveloped for my age. And even coming to the US here when I was 17, 18, I wasn't really able to upkeep a conversation with another person. The only thing I really knew was the game, and that's what I dove into. And I think at that point, I definitely felt like I'm, I guess, underdeveloped for my age, like my life skills, my social skills, these kinds of things. And it was super uncomfortable, but I just tried to still spend a lot of time with people. And
the glow is still outside of that.
Screw your feelings, right?
Okay, should turn it off at some point here. When you want to start it off.
I don't know. That's a difficult one. I mean, when I was listening to my feelings when I was depressed, they were just telling me, don't see other people, stay in your room, play video games all day. And it was really when I guess, just really got outside my comfort zone and went to an esports event in Sweden. Met my teammates in person, which was really terrifying because I was really
maybe right
insecure.
here, maybe 0.
But then my team got top 8, I think, and then we actually qualified for the LCS when LCS was starting back in season 3. So this is maybe 8 years ago. So we qualified for LCS, and then that really got me the job as an esports player.
So you have to work harder than everyone else.
Yeah, I think I always felt that way. I never felt like I was super intrinsically talented. I always felt like a lot of my skill came from
Let's do this one first.
my work ethic.
I think that's certainly true. By the way, I loved your answer to screw your feelings, because you were like, it's tough because sometimes my feelings tell me to stay in my room and not interact with anyone. And you've had to learn how to master your feelings at times.
And they still do tell me that sometimes.
Wow. Okay. And then you also said, I don't want to hold everyone back.
Should be above? Should it?
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the natural progression
Maybe it should
of
be
a
above.
coach is kind of
Maybe.
to start coaching maybe individual players and then maybe coaching an amateur or academy team. But I went straight from playing LCS to coaching kind of a top tier, multi-million-dollar team. So I just don't want to hold them back with my inexperience.
Do you feel underdeveloped?
Do I feel underdeveloped?
Maybe it can be. Maybe
I feel like I don't have a ton of experience yet.
Oh, this kind of nice.
So
does that kind of answer your question,
no,
or does it not?
I think it's a very artful dodge. That could be an answer if I wanted to accept it as one. And I'm not, you know, if it's an answer, it's an answer. So if your answer is no, I don't feel underdeveloped. What I feel is inexperienced, and there's a difference. Because I think the other challenge here, Soren, is that I think that, yeah, what would you say to that?
Oh, I just don't understand the difference between the two.
Okay.
Automation here is so bad, though.
Okay. You would say that those are the same thing.
In this coaching case, I definitely will develop with experience. Of course, it's not the only thing, but yeah.
Yeah. So here's my concern, is that as long as you feel like you have catching up to do, you're going to act in a way that alleviates those feelings. And the challenge is that there may come a time where you have caught up, but just because you've technically caught up may not actually have anything to do with the feeling of having caught up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm concerned.
It's also, yeah, you don't really know when you've caught up, because I also don't really see other. Yeah, I mean, it's just a hard thing. It's not a very linear thing, like, oh, now I've caught up, now I have these skills.
Exactly. So I see you putting yourself into like an unwinnable proposition, because you're never going to know whether you've caught up or not, and you're going to be like driving yourself forward because you feel like you need to catch up. And even though, and I know this sounds weird, so like sometimes, Soren, people who have your complex, for lack of a better term, you know, these people who feel like they're underdeveloped, feel like they have to work really hard, feel like they've fallen behind, they will like work so hard that they'll actually rise. I know this sounds absolutely crazy. They'll rise to the top of their field. And sometimes even in video gaming, for example, there are like 20 million players in this game called League of Legends, and they'll actually rise to a top tier team in a professional League of Legends capacity. And they still feel like they have catching up to do. I know it sounds absolutely crazy.
No.
There we go.
Right, so what does catching up look like?
Can I ask, is that such a bad feeling to have? Or do you just think it's kind of a deep-seated, like you don't ever feel like you're enough? Is that kind of the...
Is that how you feel? Like you never feel like you're enough?
I don't ever think that, but if I think that I can always grow, maybe.
Yep. Well said. Right. So I'm not hearing that you really.
But I don't have really negative self-thoughts. Like I'm not enough, but I do have like, oh, I need to be better.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think a lot.
Yeah. So I think that that's a very, very good man. You're very nuanced, Soren. So there's a important difference between I'm not good and I could be better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I suspect that those are two sides of the same coin, and I think that always striving to be better can come from a dissatisfaction with who you are. I personally think that's what you've got down there. I think you've just put such positive psychology language around it. Like, you just talk about growth, but like, I do think that there's fear and other negative emotion. Like, I don't want to hold everyone back implies to me that if I really had to guess, what I'd say is that in your mind, you're afraid that you will hold everyone back. And that's why you have to work harder than everyone else, because your teammates don't deserve to have someone like you hold them back. They deserve to have someone who can really like live up to expectations and like be the coach that your team needs and the coach that your team deserves. And you're going to work really hard to be that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's still a fundamental like fear underneath there that you're like, you have to work really hard, because deep down, if you just autopilot it, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
So then you ask me the question, is that necessarily bad? Because I seem to be placing a judgment on it. What do you think?
What should I do with this?
So
the message is fine.
I guess.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not fine. Let's do it manually.
Maybe this is not what you're asking, but I guess I feel like a lot of the time the way that I spend my life or live my life on autopilot just doesn't really make me happy, I think.
I think that's
I think I waste. It's I get like sucked into things very easily, like social media, and obviously those are built to be addicting. But if I wasn't kind of pushing myself to be a better person and to live life more intentionally and use my time wisely, that's why I have this stupid skull, because it reminds me that I don't live forever, and I try to make the most
Hi,
of my days. It's a little bit morbid time in my room, but it does help me, especially when I have a hard time getting up in the morning. But
why do you have to make the most of your days?
How you doing? Okay, let's do the math.
Why do I have to make the most out of my days?
Why?
I think it just makes me feel fulfilled.
Fulfilled.
And it's not like all I do is work, right? It's even just being more intentional about even like spending time with other people. I think when I live life very much on autopilot, I also isolate myself a lot. I'm definitely pretty introverted. And if I'm not kind of making myself get out there, then I isolate myself very much.
Can I think for a second?
Sure. Take your time.
Getting this close out of the way.
Can you tell me about bullying?
Tell you about bullying? What do you want to know?
So you mentioned that you dropped out of school in 4th grade?
8th grade.
8th grade. So can you tell me about what happened between 4th grade and 8th grade? What school was like for you?
It was really bad. Looking back, I don't know I don't know how hard I was being singled out compared to kind of how sensitive I was, because my parents always told me that I was a very sensitive kid, especially compared to my brothers. But I felt very singled out by some people in my class, by my teacher at the time. I felt like he was somewhat bullying me or singling me out. But of course, I was a kid, so I don't know how much that is true, but that was very much my reality.
What do you remember?
Okay.
I don't remember too much, to be honest.
Okay, malform.
I remember more so like in 8th grade when people would, when the bus was coming, like steal my backpack and hold it until the bus left, so I would have to go home without my backpack, or I would have to stay, and then I would end up walking home a lot. But it's like, it's like a 5-mile walk or something, 4-mile walk. And just being bullied a lot for being skinny, especially. I was a really, really skinny and short
should
kid,
have
bullied a lot for my body weight.
Should have separated the top part
my school
of the
was
mouth
kind of up
from
against
this.
the kindergarten, so they would throw me into the
Should have
kindergarten
done
because
that.
they said I looked like
Be
a kid
better.
in kindergarten because I was small and skinny. That was really fucking painful at the time, for sure.
Underdeveloped.
Oh, it all comes full circle.
I tried to map things out for you, so I didn't spring it on you, bro. You know.
That's true. I didn't even realize that as I was talking about it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cry quietly to myself for a second, okay? Yeah, let me ask you what all right, Soren, we're just getting started, buddy. So when this thing happened with the backpack, like what did you tell anyone?
I don't think so. Because that was in 8th grade, so I think back in 6th, 7th, 5th grade, I would tell my parents, and then they would want to contact the school, contact the principal, contact their parents. And of course, when you're a young kid, you care a lot about being cool. And I was always the kid who... So there's kind of like the popular group of kids, and I would always try to tag along, but I was never really a part of that circle. So I would be the kid that's getting picked on in the popular circle. But I so desperately wanted to be a part of that circle, so I didn't want my parents to talk to their parents.
Just doing some.
Obviously, it's quick, really silly now, but at the time,
yeah.
The social status
Hi,
is really
Bunny.
important.
Welcome.
Doesn't sound silly.
Oh fuck! I'm sleepy as fuck. Oh shit.
Well, I think if I was who I am now, I would just.
Oh man,
there's a lot of kids at the school try to find people who
shit.
accept me and that I could get along with. You don't have to be a part of the most
It's not good. It's not good.
in the school.
Why am I sleepy at this
In
hour?
that sense, I think I would have done better if I was. I definitely admired the kids who, kids would get picked on for drawing or for doing things that were considered nerdy, but they were really, they knew what they liked and they knew the kind of people that they were. And I guess I was more so just trying to fit in. So, in hindsight, as I got older, I have a lot of respect for those kids who are able to be true to themselves.
Oh shit!
No. Even though it's not cool or it's not what most people.
Just start a stream, bruh. Just start.
And I know this is going to be bouncing. What?
No, it's just funny when you smile. I feel like you're like, oh, okay. This makes a lot of sense.
What do you think is going on in my head right now?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't really tell you.
Do you like being fulfilled?
It feels like a trick question, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It really wasn't a trick question. It was just sort of a, I know it's sort of, I can see what you mean in terms of I'm trying to let you know well in advance before I lay out a trap for you. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay. How would you feel if I could give you a pill that would make you content? Would you take it?
What is that, man?
Actually, maybe that's a bad question, but let's just hear your answer anyway.
I feel like, of course, you would want to say yes, but I guess I'm worried that it's a complicated question.
Yeah. What's complicated about it?
Because, of course, you want to be... Sorry, what is the word? Content?
Mm-hmm.
But... I guess I just worry that I might...
You just curve here.
Kind of let myself go, but also does that really matter if I'm just content? But then I would probably also die young because I would just not exercise and not do these kinds of things that are going to make me a healthier person. But I'm definitely overthinking the question.
Nope, I don't think you are. I think you're...
So I don't really know. I can't really tell you.
You may be underdeveloped in many ways, Soren, but I don't think you're underdeveloped in your thinking. I think you're a very precise thinker. So I've got kind of a fork in the road. One is, we can get more to what I'm pretty sure is some sense of, okay, here's what I'm hearing, okay? So I'm going to try to once again avoid pits. But I'm detecting what I will call pit Soren. So there's like a Soren who's like stuck in a pit. And this is the Soren that maybe was bullied, maybe dropped out, maybe was isolated, maybe felt underdeveloped. Like you were kind of in this dark place and like it was really hard to like be you.
Oh, damn.
And I think that like on paper, you've crawled out of there, right? Like, I mean, here you are, head coach of a very popular League of Legends team. You have a pretty respectable professional career behind you. You've clearly landed on your feet. You've got you're rocking a pretty awesome beard. There are a lot of things about you that are like you can really be proud of. And yet you don't strike me as someone who's like, and I think this is where things get really tricky because I think you are proud of what you've done. I think you have grown, you have matured, and I genuinely don't believe that like, I think you really do appreciate that. But then you've got that skull in the back of your room. and then like, it's one thing to want to live every day to your fullest, but you have this weird thing where you need a reminder and you need a graphic reminder. Because what I see in that skull is like a fear that unless, like if you ever slow down, you're going to be back to pit Soren. That you've climbed fully out of the pit. But you need reminders to keep you striving. And this is where you kind of say, like, is that a bad thing? Is like
too
feeling
short
like you're not good enough or wanting to grow?
I think you should do the other way.
Positivity.
I think this is working.
It's absolutely adaptive. It's absolutely responsible for your success. But there's a fundamental lack of fulfillment there. Like that can't exist with fulfillment. And anytime you start to feel fulfilled, I think you look at your skull over there and it reminds you that you're going to die one day. So better start feeling unfulfilled because it's time to grow. Like we've got a lot of growing to do. And like we can't stop growing, not even for a single day. Heaven forbid that I take a day off in 4 months. Because I have so much
I would
growing.
like to.
Yep, yeah. I think you would. So what gets in the way?
A lot of it is just my work schedule, so I think I wouldn't be able to give you much more than a practical answer.
No, but that's an impractical. That's not a, because your work schedule is determined, I think, right? So this is where like I'm going to toss out a hypothesis. Usually I wait for hypothesis formation at the end, but I think it comes back to this feeling like you have a lot of catching up to do. Right? So like you can't afford to take a day off. That's what if I had to piece things together, that's what I would think based on what you've said. Is that you don't have the luxury of a day off.
Partially. I think also just at least this is what my kind of ex-girlfriend told me, that being a head coach is a very, very time-consuming job, and if you want to be good, you do have to put a lot of time into it. And maybe it's more so that the kind of person I am, I found myself coming into this role. Does that make sense?
So
I found myself coming into this job that maybe fulfills this drive or insecurity that I have.
What do you think about that?
There might be some truth to it. I mean, I enjoy responsibility, for sure. And you have a lot of responsibility as a head coach.
Yeah, it's interesting to think that, you picked a job that will always make you feel like you have more to do.
Yeah.
Is that sort of the implication that your ex-girlfriend was making?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Maybe, but I don't really see playing as too different. I always had that mentality when I was a player, that there's always more that I can do. But of course, I try to balance that as well with other maybe things that are healthier for me.
Yeah,
I wasn't just playing 14 hours a day.
So let me ask you this: do you feel underdeveloped in other areas of your life?
This one. Let's see.
Yeah. I would say so.
Like what?
Or I'm kind of unsure about it. If you asked me years ago, I would say yes. But now I think I realize a little bit more that a lot of adults or mid-20s people are kind of winging it, and they don't.
Well said.
Whereas I definitely have an issue of kind of comparing myself to others. And thinking that they have their shit together and I don't.
Wait,
I think that kind of goes back to this idea that we were touching on earlier, that I think you've started to realize that you may not actually be underdeveloped, but you carry that feeling with you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you felt like sort of behind socially too, maybe around 8th grade or after you dropped out of school or when you met your teammates, that you felt like very nervous. Can you tell me a little bit more about that feeling or what was in your head?
What was in my head?
That was a super vague question. So let me ask it this way.
It's kind of difficult to answer.
Yeah, it was way too vague. Terrible question. See, I could do better. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened after you dropped out after the 8th grade?
I don't remember exactly, but in Denmark you have to finish, I guess, high school like 9th grade. So I would be gone for a bit, but then I don't know if I want to say the authorities, but people came to my house and talked to me and talked to my parents. Like, you have to go back to school. It's a part of the law. So I would kind of go back to school, drop back out, back to school, drop back out. Here comes the underdeveloped, maybe. And around this time, I was diagnosed with a nonverbal learning disorder, and I started going to more of like a special needs school with just less students, and a lot of them were kind of on the autism or Asperger's spectrum. And yeah, it was just kind of hard for me to fit in. I didn't really feel fit in at the regular school, and I didn't really feel like I fit in at the special needs school. And now that I've grown older, I feel like there's a good chance that it was a kind of an inaccurate diagnosis just based on being in a really deep depression. I think that really changes you. But whether I am or have that or not, I don't really know. But it was really tough on me at the time.
How did you feel? What do you remember?
How did I feel? I want to say the first thing that comes to mind is that I felt like my life was over.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Quickly.
Soren, how would you?
And I'm not sure why I felt that way, but
yeah, totally. Good answer. And
I remember also feeling that way when I first realized I had to wear glasses, because that was also apparently a life-ending thing when you're a teenager.
Yeah. How would you feel if you missed 2 hours of practice?
I decrease the weight. Just this. Okay, we like this. Hope this work. This might stretch too much here.
Weak,
That's
maybe?
fine. Can adjust this later.
Help me understand that.
I guess in a sense that is kind of saying that I'm unable to kind of cope with the stress of the job in my free time. So I have to take literal time off of practice.
Okay.
Have you felt weak before?
I can add some small physics for the head, actually. I haven't tried that yet. It might be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think being human is being weak in a lot of ways. And years ago, I always, as a player, I really kind of idealized the Korean Chinese work ethic, which is like sacrifice everything, play all day. You don't need to exercise, you don't need relationships, you don't need balance, you just need to grind. That was maybe 4 years ago, maybe even longer, maybe like 5-6 years ago. That was really kind of what I strived to be. And then as I got older, I realized I'm human. I should look out for it.
Sure, that sounds very healthy. I mean, in terms of, I guess kind of what I'm hearing, Soren, is like,
okay, now we add physics to it.
So what exactly happened with the kindergarten thing? What did they do? They
threw me over the fence.
Yeah. And so I didn't quite understand. I couldn't quite paint a picture in my mind. But like when I think about, so I was bullied a lot growing up too. And if I had to describe one, I never thought about bullying this way.
1, 2, 3, 4. I need like 4 of them.
Word, or if I had to pick one word to describe how I felt, it was weak.
You have to rename. I don't need to rename actually.
Yeah.
Just keep like this. It's to have the orders already. So
like this is where, you know, I feel like I'm really leading more than following this interview, which is like arguably a mistake. Because generally speaking,
that's
like
being lazy
I should
today.
Like listen to what you have to say and then like
being
form
lazy.
a hypothesis. But I'm seeing like a pretty clear chain here. And it may be hard. I could be wrong because I'm really not doing a good job. I'm not following the rules of normally how
so
I
should the
approach this,
physic below
I mean,
or
here's what I'm hearing from you, Soren, is that like you
one?
carry this like fear of weakness with you, and that like you won't relent at all for fear of like being back in the pit. Like you're not going to go back there ever. No one's ever going to throw you over the fence. You're never going to be weak. They're never like
both. Let's
like,
try
it's
both.
never going to happen. Like you've been there before, and this kind of comes back to the question of, I think you've paid a price to be where you are, and that price is having that skull on your piano, right? It's like
do you mind if I ask something?
Yeah.
Do you think that this is something I can change, or do you think this is just how my life has shaped me to be?
Do you want to change it?
I don't know. I mean, I like who I am.
I think you do.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you said, is this something you can change, or is this something that your life has shaped you to be? I don't think that's an either-or question. I think both are true. So I think you've been shaped this way.
You move a lot.
And can you change it? Absolutely. But I think in order to change it, you have to do something that you really don't want to do.
Okay,
which is that
should I do?
You have to take. You have to like schedule your CEO meetings during the week
or above it. Let's try both.
What's really holding you back is I don't really, and this could be me being ignorant, right? So I really don't know what your team functions like, but I understand the inside of, I think, a few professional law organizations, and I've seen this a lot. Like I've seen this everywhere. Like I've seen this in investment banking. And I just don't think physiologically that like not taking a day off in 4 months leads to the best performance.
Would you? This is kind of separate from the whole conversation and more practical. But for me, I'm really balancing. Like, do I want to have some more free time in my day-to-day, in my work days, or do I want to have more workload in the work days and then have this day off that I can kind of call mine?
I think that's the wrong way to think about it.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I think it's going to be challenging, but. And I think the real thing is that your real barrier, I think, is actually emotional. Because I think that, like, you don't want to feel weak. Like, you want to feel like you're not letting people down. Like, the possibility, I think I know it sounds weird. You know, like, if you set a limit on how much you do and, like, you let your team down as a result, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just feel awful.
Why?
This one, I can move this too. Curve tips. Maybe in then curve at 2 of them.
Just because.
I'm not sure about the wings.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they deserve better.
I don't know. I think. Let's see. How should I do this?
Work has
this
always
could be
been
1, 2, and 3 as well.
Part of my life.
Maybe.
Sure.
So I would probably feel.
Yeah, I can try that.
It's always been my North Star to kind of do better at. I don't even really call it work, but I would do better as a player, better as a kind of a part of this team. So if I was to not put in my full effort, I think I would probably lose kind of part of who I am or my identity.
Yeah, so I think that's a challenge. So, Soren, I'm going to talk about something, and I don't know, is this useful? Is this conversation useful to you? I mean, would you rather be crying right now? Because we can make that happen.
No, I mean, I had a few opportunities to cry, but laughed it off instead.
I mean, I feel like this is really important because I think, like, so a lot of times when I work with people who are very successful, like, we talk about letting go of ambition. And they sort of say, like, it's ambition that's gotten me this far. Like, I don't understand. Like, if I let go, so like a good example is like I work with a lot of people in investment banking, And so these people like work really, really hard. Like they work crazy hours. You know, it's like big deals.
Oh yeah, this
like
one,
$100 million deals,
this
$1 billion
chart,
deals.
it should be.
And they sort of like, it's always like,
Wait,
there's always more to do.
No,
there's
it's not
always a
like
promotion. There's always another deal.
But
And
left
it's
and right
ambition
though.
that's gotten them this far. And so they get
Left
really,
and
really
right,
concerned that if I let go of my
X.
ambition, like I'll be nothing. Like this is who I am. Right? Like you're
This
someone
this
who,
might need
like,
another
Soren, I
group
think
of
you're
physics
never
for this one.
gonna be weak again.
Yeah,
Like,
this might need
to hell with that.
Let's do this
Like,
one
you
as
would
well.
never put yourself in that situation.
Let's put it.
I think that the challenge here is that, you know, if you look at the physiology of performance, and there's been a lot of work on this kind of stuff, like having high levels of cortisol, a stress hormone, which I imagine is going to be higher in your system when you're working for 4 months without a break, is going to lead to less creative decision making. So when cortisol is floating around in your system and adrenaline is floating around in your system, these are stress hormones that we release more of when we work way too much. It actually reduces your capacity for creative thinking. Because when the way that our brains evolved, like when our fight or flight system is involved, like we don't want creative thinking. Like when I run into a tiger in the woods, I don't want to think creatively. Like my body needs to act. So like nuance gets lost and everything becomes black and white. And I don't think, and it's interesting because we started off talking about sort of this feeling of autopilot and awareness that decays throughout the season. And you say to me like, oh yeah, we have it at the beginning. I can think creatively, but then we fall into the grind. Okay. I think it's absolutely physiologically or neuroscientifically mediated. Because literally as the season advances, your brain
I haven't used
is
this
going
one
to
yet.
change.
So left and right have to do this as well.
And so I know this sounds absolutely insane, but like when I talk to these people and I'm like, yeah, you don't need to be striving for a promotion to be doing your best work. And they're really confused because they think that like, if I'm not striving for a promotion, I don't know how to work. And the beautiful thing is that oftentimes they wind up in my office because, you know, things need to change. And then we kind of get to the point where I teach them how to let go of their ambition, and they do wonderfully. Because I think it sounds kind of weird, but there are like other reasons for you to work than ambition. And there are things that you can do, like your loyalty to your team, not wanting to let them down, needs to be separated from your personal feelings of weakness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can't say I know how to do that, but
yep.
I understand.
So, and that's why we're not going the crying route, because I'd like to teach you today. And for everyone else who like beats themselves up to try to be something. Because there's a huge difference between not letting your team down and you feeling personally weak. And I know it sounds kind of bizarre, but there's a hypothesis, I don't know if this is right or wrong, that you letting go of your feelings of weakness will actually will allow you to be the best coach for your team.
I agree. I definitely feel like, I don't know if this is related, but sometimes I definitely do feel like I'm too focused and worried about myself when I should really be putting all my focus on the players and helping them.
That's really tricky because you're going to just you're going to find any reason to beat yourself up. So like, I take that with a grain of salt, right? Like I think the number of ways in which you have thought through that you can be better is tricky because I think that's the problem. On the one hand, you're absolutely correct. But on the other hand, like, why aren't you good enough?
Was that an actual question?
Yeah.
Why am I not good enough?
Yeah.
I don't really think I have an answer to that.
Do you feel not good enough?
I mean, it just goes kind of back to the beginning, right? I feel like I can be better. I feel like I'm learning.
Do you need to be better?
Yeah.
Why?
To serve my team and my players better.
Can I think about that for a second?
Sure.
Okay, it's simple. Okay,
Let me put it this way.
This one.
And I don't know how much progress we're going to make here. Are you enough for your team?
The way that I am?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
How would you know if you were?
I don't think I would know, which is why I say I don't think so. I don't know for a fact.
Right? So what if I told you, I'm gonna say something. And I want to know what your instinctive reaction is to these words. You're enough for your team. You're exactly what your team needs in the way that you are in this moment. You don't need to be any better than what you are.
It's hard for me to believe that.
That's a very sugar-coated response. What did you think? What were you thinking what did you think and feel as I said those words?
Okay, now.
What did I think and feel?
Maybe. Oh yeah, this one can have one for
that. It was very nice of you, but that you don't really know.
There.
Because you don't know how I work. You don't see my work.
Yep. And if I did see, what would I notice? What is it that I don't know about you, Soren, that you do?
I mean, I don't even know yet. Of course, there are a lot of things that I know I can do better, and then there's the things that I'm kind of yet to discover.
Yeah, so this is tricky, but I'm going to try to say this one more time. Like, if I knew you the way that you know yourself, Soren, what's the difference? Right? Because I can tell that, like, when I said that, what I saw in your eyes was, this guy has no fucking idea what he's talking about. Right? So tell me what I don't know.
What do you not know?
What are you?
I don't really know how to answer that question.
Not knowing how to answer that question is different from, like, there's something I'm missing, right? Because for me to say that, it's like ignorance. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah. I mean,
so educate me.
Educate you?
What am I ignorant of? What part of you don't I understand? What am I missing?
Okay. Now another one for.
Well, I'm thinking more in relation to my work, right?
Sure.
Let's go with X and Y. This might be better. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just I feel like I can always do more, and I can always work harder. Which is maybe not what you want to hear, but
yeah. So I think that what we're getting into is a conflict, because I think you have to unsugarcoat it to be able to say it. So let me.
I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm just.
I don't think you are. I think it's just going to be tough, right? So maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but like.
Yeah.
I can tell. So the reason that I said that is because I know you're going to have, like, when I said, like, I think you are enough, right? Like, I think you're fine by your players. By the way, have you ever talked to your players about whether they feel like you're letting them down?
No.
What do you think about having a conversation like that?
Oh, I can. Oh, wait. Ah, okay, got it.
Yeah, I don't really know. I feel like most of them would just be really nice about it.
What does that mean? Be really nice about it.
Oh, sorry. I need to answer a message from my manager.
Okay. How do I do this move if I do this?
Okay.
Oh, it's kind of nice. I kind of like.
I think if I was to ask a question, like,
like
am I letting you down? I think that obviously.
Kind of like that.
Someone would ask me that. It would kind of seem like they need reassurance, so I would probably give them reassurance. Maybe I would. Yeah, I guess that's just how I feel.
Okay.
Wait, I have an idea.
So,
what if I don't know. Hold on. Let me add something to my to-do list. I have an idea. Something that I can do. Okay. Showcase art ideas. That is live2d. Yeah. Okay. Bottle of water. Just like that. With boats. Yeah. Okay.
Oh. How would they signal to you if they really thought you were not letting them down?
Good.
What could they say to you that would convince you that they think you're
what
doing a fantastic job and they're happy to have you?
This one. Okay. That's it there.
Do you mind repeating that?
Yeah, so like how would they signal to you? So like let's say, so here's what okay, let's just take a step back, start from the top, okay? So it's my belief that you have a sense of inadequacy that keeps you striving to be the best, but is personally like tortures you. Like, I think it's got to be like a hard way to live your life where you wake up like somewhat content.
This might be fun.
You're like,
after the physics,
and then you see that skull.
Let me
and the skull is like, fuck you, get out of bed, weakling.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, on the days that I'm really tired, I look at the skull and it reminds me that I need to be better and that I'm not good enough. And so, fine. So then I turn to you and I say something absolutely idiotic, which is, Soren, I think you're fantastic just the way that you are.
Review for
and you're like, this fucking guy, that's his job. He sees the best in everyone, right? It's his job to like accept people, but he doesn't understand. Right? Totally understand. Like, that's fair. It's completely fair. I don't know you, bro. I'm missing something. It's my job to see the best in everyone. And there's like something in you that is clearly not the best. Fine. I accept that too. Because I don't know you. You're right. And then I ask you, so fill me in. Tell me, help me understand what it is about you that I don't know. You have a lot of trouble answering that.
Moved here.
Because there's like, if we think about it, like you can't protest against my statement unless there's something like, because your protest is like quite strong. And so I think that like it's like pit Soren down there. It's like, you didn't see me when I got tossed over the fence into the kindergarten. And then you had to like walk through the fucking kindergarten back to your school. Like, you know, like that's pathetic, man.
Okay, now
and
another one for X and Z.
Right. So I think that like leaves a scar. And I think this is the scar that we're running up against. And now we get into a real problem because your adaptation to that scar is responsible for your success. It's the work ethic. It's the constant feeling that you could be better. And like that's what's gotten you to where you are.
Okay, let me try this.
Fair. I don't know your team. I don't know League of Legends. I'm a noob. Fine. I don't know you. Fine. Right? Because the response that I heard when I said, I think you're good enough is you don't know me. Like, you don't really know. You don't know what you're talking about. Fine. So there's something there about you that is not good enough. Fine. So then let's turn to someone who does know, right? Like because your teammates know. Like they're your teammates. Like they know whether you're doing a good job. They know whether you're doing enough. And then we get to the real crux of the problem is that like if you go to them and you say like, am I doing enough? Like what are they going to see? They're going to see someone who's weak, who needs reassurance. And they're going to say, yeah, no, so Soren, you're doing great, man. Oh man. You're so handsome. You're so smart. Right? Like that's like you feel like you're going to be like now I'm almost getting like they're gonna put you in the special school all over again.
Look
like,
nice.
They can't give it to you.
Kind of nice.
And so the two things that I'd point out to you is first, like, how would you know, right? If they actually did think that you did an awesome job, and that like, because I'm pretty sure if I had the opportunity to talk to them, this is what they'd say. That your work ethic is amazing, that you're an inspiration, and that like they're really optimistic because like you're on their team, and that they think you're doing a fantastic job.
The glow.
Like I would give you 10-1 odds that that's what they would say.
Maybe make it
and now the problem is like now I'm
well.
going to point out to you like where the problem is like how are you going to know? Like how are you going to know if you're
call this finish?
Even if they tell you, if I tell you, like, no, as many people as you want to can tell you. But as long as that voice is there, discounting and undermining everything, all of the signals that get sent your way, this is not going to change.
Okay. Where the fuck is it? Okay. So two of this.
And what I'm talking about is like a radical change.
Bit. Maybe
this is reshaping who you are.
Low it
it's like accepting that you actually are enough today and you can do more tomorrow. 70, don't worry, you don't have to let go of being better tomorrow.
Save and let's see.
But what I want you to do is let go of like feeling fundamentally not good enough. Because I suspect that like in other parts of your life too, you know, and I don't know how much to read into you said ex-girlfriend, but you know, in other parts of your life too, like I'm afraid that there may be situations where you are actually fully adequate, but you don't feel that way.
That is actually on point, yeah. In my relationship, I often felt like I was not, or I felt like she was dissatisfied with me a lot, even though then she would tell me, I am satisfied with you, but maybe like there's this thing or this thing, but those things would hit me very hard.
So this is what I see in people who like have what you have is that they become self-fulfilling prophecies. So like when someone feels inadequate in a relationship, their partner will tell them, no, I actually really like being with you. But their mind will latch on to the 10% of what their partner says instead of the 90%. I really do want to be with you. And of course you're not perfect. And then your mind is like, there it is. Let's shove aside the 90% of contentment and zero in on the 10%. And it actually becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We see this as well in people who have a fear of abandonment, where like they think like they're
finished. Let's set it up,
or they're afraid that their partner
and then move on to the next one.
Partner's like, no, I'm not going to leave you. Like, I like being in the situation. They're like, you're going to leave. Like, no, I'm not.
It's
and then,
like, 1K,
they tell, like, you're going to leave. I know you're going to leave.
2K.
You didn't text me back. Who are you with? You're going to leave me. You're going to leave me. You're going to leave me.
I have also had that in a relationship, and I did end up leaving her.
Right? And it's like, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I think, like, Soren, you're playing a rigged game. Simple. And it all, like, it doesn't matter, like, who you hear it from, how qualified they are. Like, even if you heard it from the CEO, you're like, he doesn't know, right? Like if your CEO is like, hey, Soren, I think you're doing a fantastic job. Like, you'd be like, he doesn't see what I do day to day. That voice is always, do you see the voice that I'm talking about that's just, like, always there?
Yeah.
So do you want that to change? Is that voice a bad thing?
I guess my worry is if I don't have that voice. I always had the feeling that if I ever lost my drive, I just shouldn't be in this line of work. Because this line of work is like striving to be the very, very best. And you have to make sacrifices to do that. So I guess part of my worry is if I was to lose that,
I don't
think I would
good
find
to
as
go.
much joy out of this work, and then I would have to find something else.
Actually, I'm gonna finish 2 rigging and then just set them up at the same time.
I disagree with that completely.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from. It just hasn't been my experience at all. So can I try to convince you for a moment?
Sure.
So I get what you're saying, that like this voice is what drives you forward, right? And this is why I asked you at the very beginning, and you asked me too. You were like, is this a bad thing? Then I asked you, do you want to get rid of it? And I don't think you do. And that's the problem. So like when I ask you, like, do you want to be fulfilled? I don't think you do. Like, I think that anytime you have like I don't see you like ever relaxing. Like even when you win. Right?
I'm really afraid of complacency. Because I've been playing. I had, and I could have continued to play if I wanted to.
Okay.
I
let's start a new one.
The North American
this one is finished.
Before I chose to go into coaching.
Let's take like 1 hour. Not too bad.
I think 8 years, and I saw
it could be faster.
So many players find success and
but
then
still slow.
Become comfortable, and then eventually
stop.
This
one might take a bit longer, actually.
They
really fluffy, this one.
And I understand that. So I think, though, Soren, you're not them. I'm not worried about you losing your drive. And I actually think that like the best performance you're going to see, by all means grind, by all means work a lot. Like I'm not telling you to like not work. But I think that the best, like literally like neuroscientifically and like optimizing performance wise, when you're operating from a place of like positive energy and positive emotion, you're actually going to outperform what you're capable of with like negative energy and negative emotion.
I do understand. I feel like before COVID, I was closer to that, living a kind of more balanced lifestyle. I think COVID has definitely maybe brought out the worst in that, because we were also in a really strict bubble system in order to stay safe, right? So I was only at my apartment and at the office. I didn't see any friends for 6 months. Well, even longer, obviously. Like for
wait, what's the?
It's just kind of all my time has really gone into.
Wait a minute. What's the name that
it's probably
where did I put the file?
Strengthens these feelings.
So that makes me think even more that like letting go of some of these feelings is going to be a step forward for you. Because if in a high stress environment these feelings are getting worse, like generally speaking, like depression and anxiety and all that stuff is getting worse during COVID. So it's not like your optimal function. It's like it's almost like a coping mechanism. It's like your internal cheat code to keep
check the file now. Oh, okay.
And
behind that window,
something tells me that like
in a way.
You know, I'm not saying slack off, but I don't think you're gonna slack off. I don't think we have to worry about you slacking off. Like I don't think that if this changed in you emotionally, I think there's too much programming in your brain. Your neurons have wired a certain way to where you're not gonna just like wake up and do nothing.
Saved.
Like it's just not who you are.
Okay, that is.
And what's gonna change then, or what could change then?
It's a good question.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I think that like I was saying, there are a couple of feelings that are tangled up here. One is like striving to be the best. One is not wanting to let your team down. And the third is like feeling weak or inadequate.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that I don't think that all three of those have to like go together. Right? Like you can care about your teammates. You can want to not let them down, but also recognize that like you are good enough. That together as a team, you guys can actually do this. That you don't have to worry, like you shouldn't be worrying about like whether you're good enough or not. Like, you've got no headspace for that. You should be focused like fully on your team. Like you said, you kind of think a little bit about yourself too much. Because I know it sounds weird, but I mean, if we're talking about self-fulfilling prophecies in relationships, that could happen in the professional space too. And the real problem here, at the end of the day,
I really like the way that I do the color for this one.
You can't ever know what's right and what isn't.
It's really nice.
Right? Like, you can't ever know like what's going to be.
Texture and color are really nice on this one.
Teammates tell you that you're not going to listen.
Really like it.
So, like, if there was some objective measure of your enoughness, then I'd say this is a whole different ballgame. But in the absence of that, like, your mind is always going to tell you that you're not enough. It's not enough, that you need to be better. And you can love your teammates, you can want to, like, lead them to victory. But, like, being fundamentally faithless in yourself, which I'm using, like, exaggerated language here, is, like, not going to be... And now we're falling into another trap, because now I'm telling you that you need to be better. But, you know, like, fundamentally believing that you are good enough, fundamentally believing that you are what your team needs, can lead to hubris or pride or complacency. But I think in your case, at the highest levels of performance, Soren, I think it starts to become maladaptive. That for 99% of the road, the work ethic that you've got and the emotions that you've got and feeling not good enough is going to get you 99% of the way there. But if you want to walk that last step, you have to let go of this. What do you think?
You see us here, it's a kid. Alright, Theo, I just finished another one. This is the second one. So after this, I will end stream early and do some stuff off stream.
And
yeah, this is gonna take like maybe
come up
1 hour.
Maybe against these kinds of things with a therapist, and
yeah,
they're just so deeply rooted that I don't know where to begin. You know?
Okay. So we can. I'm glad you see a therapist. By the way, that's good. So let me now let's do this together. Okay. So if you're with me, like I don't have an answer for you, so we're gonna have to figure this out together. Okay. What do you think about that?
How are you doing, Theo?
Sure.
I
don't know what it entails, but
yeah, finish another one. Let me show you another one.
Okay. So let's think about the conundrum.
The other one
so
is
here
this
I am
one.
telling you that you need to accept.
Oh yeah,
yourself
two of
more,
these I designed.
and that you are good
both
enough.
of them. So
right.
Yeah.
And
I start get a lot more like designing package
something I can be
for these mascot as well.
Exactly. So that's the problem.
That's
so
nice.
What do we?
Yeah.
What do we do about that?
Start designing.
Because even
shit.
if I try to tell you to move in the right direction, I'm actually falling into your trap. You're the one who's trapped me.
Just simple.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly
design. It's not like big concept or like really deep concepts. Design. It's just.
Well, so I was coming
just the
up
appearance.
At a
it's nothing big.
I was learning more so to kind of accept and understand myself rather than trying to change.
Nothing that big.
Yeah. So then I think that sounds right. But then I guess then I have a practical answer for you, but I just want to appreciate the conundrum that we're in here, which is that either you accept yourself where you are and then you don't strive to be better, which is sort of, I guess, winning, or I'm telling you, hey, like, you need to learn how to accept yourself, which is like, you don't, does that make it? It's like, it doesn't, we're stuck, right? So if we truly accept you, then what we should say is, Soren, you should continue not accepting yourself. And that is acceptance.
Yeah.
Right? And then if we say like, Soren, you need to learn how to accept yourself.
That was very convenient for me.
Right? So, or I can say, Soren, you need to learn how to accept yourself, which is in and of itself not accepting yourself. Mm-hmm. So we're stuck. So the good news is that there's actually like a really simple way to move forward, and I think you're well along this path. The first is just to notice the absurdity of what we're talking about. It's dumb. The whole thing is unsolvable.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and I know it sounds kind of weird, but every time you notice that feeling in you that you need to be better, and then if you move towards saying like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, that's wrong. And if you blindly follow it, that's wrong too. So like what we really need is simply just awareness to recognize that like either path we go down is wrong.
Yeah, 2 expression.
And so if we don't go down a path, like what do? Like if I'm not moving, like so you're saying if I walk down this path, it's wrong. If I walk down this path, it's wrong. So what are my options then?
Flush and what's the other one? Wait.
I don't know.
It's weird. So do nothing.
Okay. Whisper and button? Yeah.
Right? Just notice.
I really like how I do the color weird, on this
just
one.
Like notice the conundrum within you.
I really like this way of coloring.
There are going to be times in your life where you're going to feel
texture
like
as well. Let me see if I can show it like full
do like meet with the CEO. You're going to feel weak. Like you should be able to handle it.
Display.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it's working already. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
see
throughout
better
your week,
in
very
Video Studio
there are going to be times where you feel weak, where you feel inadequate,
anyway.
where you're afraid of holding everyone back. And so a lot of your actions and your schedule has been structured based on those negative emotions of fear and inadequacy and things like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be tough for you, Soren. It's going to be very hard. But don't give in to those negative emotions. Right? And what I mean by that is notice that like if you schedule a meeting with your manager during practice, you're going to feel like you're letting your team down. And this is where, like, honestly, what I would recommend, I'm going to give you like a very simple, straight playbook. So you go to your team and you should have a conversation with them about, hey, we meet for practice 8 hours a day. I have some other obligations as coach. I've got to meet with this person and this person. How would you all feel about me taking some of those meetings in the middle of practice and then like the assistant coach? Like, how would you guys feel if I missed like an hour or 2 of practice a day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That sounds extremely uncomfortable.
Yep. There it is. What are you feeling right now?
I play a comma. Okay, this can be a short stream. I would start to be more productive on stream, maybe.
Because if I was the player, I would say.
And off stream as well.
You have
and off stream as well.
Hours before and after practice.
I think that I have to work.
Why do you need to
off
do
stream instead?
In the middle of practice.
Okay.
Yeah, but this thing on stream is
fine. So if that's what they say, then you're going to listen to them.
Well, that's what I would tell myself. But yeah.
Right. So, and this is where I think you've got to like listen to your team. Right. And say like, do I need to be here? I mean, I'm assuming you don't, how many hours a week do y'all, I don't want to like ask you too many details about what your practice schedule is and stuff like that, because that could be like competitive information, but I'm assuming that, you know, you guys are basically practicing like 6 days a week.
Okay. I should clean this more. Shouldn't have cleaned this more, a lot more.
The schedule is kind of different now. So
I can clean this.
3 match days, and then 1 off day, and then we have 3 practice days.
Okay.
During season.
So if it's during season, maybe you need to crunch things too. So I'm willing to concede that. Like if you guys have 3 match days and 3 practice days, maybe you don't want to miss any of that. But I think it's worthwhile like having a conversation with your team. And like this is the whole point, is that you can't let your feelings of weakness determine what's right or wrong.
Okay, let's clear it inside the head.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's season, maybe you don't have time to, because that sounds super tight to me. Like I'm not hearing there's actually a whole lot of time.
It's really difficult, we don't have near as much practice as we used to be able to do.
So then the question is like, do you need to be meeting with your CEO like during this time?
Hi,
Razor. Hi, Razor.
I'm not sure.
Why are you?
So what I'm hearing from you, Soren, is that like really, if you guys have 3 match days,
or you
and, like,
just wake up, or are you still awake?
Matches, that really doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of time.
Today I wake up at 5, so maybe it's normal for you to wake up at 5 early, or so like you haven't gone to bed yet.
Kind of anticlimactic, but I think I'm gonna have to take a step back from what I was saying earlier, because that really does sound quite different to me. But I still think the general like idea of not letting the sensation of like, and in that case, I think the reason that you shouldn't scale back is not because you feel weak, but because there's actually like a necessity. You guys have 8 hours of practice. Essentially, it sounds like you guys have 1 day of practice before a match.
Monday we have a day off, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we practice, and then we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday 3 matches in a row.
Oh, I see. So that's so yeah, it still sounds super tight from a scheduling standpoint. So yeah. I know it sounds kind of. I've been trying to avoid asking you details of your schedule just for like.
That's everyone's practice schedule. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Except some teams, they obviously don't take an off day sometimes, or push the training schedule longer on some of the days because we have less practice days and things like that. But
I'm trying to figure out how to salvage my argument because I feel like I just torpedoed it. So I still think that there's like a broader point here. I don't know about this particular schedule, but I'm getting the sense that you're still motivated by a lot of like feeling inadequate. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so.
So I think your road forward is still the same. In this particular instance, I don't think it... And I don't know if this makes sense, but I still don't think that the reason you... So you shouldn't meet with your CEO on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That makes perfect sense to me. At the same time, I think the reason you shouldn't meet with them is not because you feel weak. But it's like literally you just don't have time because you've got to work. Do you understand how there's a difference there?
It's true. Okay.
Kind of. But there is time.
Well, there is time for what?
I could have a meeting.
Do you think that would... What would be the cost of that meeting if you met with the CEO on Tuesday?
Should we reverse sleeping this one? And
just kind of the flexibility of my time. I guess. Those days where we end up practice, it differs, but maybe the average practice day we end at like 6:30 or 7, and then I am kind of flexible to: do I want to stay at the office and work? Do I want to relax?
Oh, should I separate this to top and bottom? Should have done that.
No matter kind of how I feel, maybe how stressed I am on the day.
Should have done that. I still separate them now. It's fine.
It's nice to have more flexibility because some practice days are really hard and really taxing.
Okay. So I think that makes sense that you want flexibility. So let me ask you this. Have you noticed anything in your schedule that is driven by the sense of feeling like if you didn't do that, you would be weak?
If I didn't do that, I would be weak. Sorry, do you mind asking one more time?
Yeah, sorry. I think we're kind of getting like lost in the weeds here, but like here's the general. I was hoping that there was an easy application, but upon hearing what your schedule is like, I don't think there is. But here's my general idea, okay? And maybe we won't find a specific thing, but so in your role as head coach, you have certain like work responsibilities, which are necessities, right? Like you have to show up for practice. You need to strategize. You guys need to figure out what heroes you're going to pick. You have to like watch replays from like the matches that you have coming up. Like all that stuff is like necessary. I totally get that. What I'm hearing from you, and I'm pretty sure that this was sort of like a theme that we've sort of uncovered, is that at times your actions are not motivated by the necessity of the job. And if you really tunnel down and you become highly aware, you'll notice that they're not actually, they may look like what is necessary in the job. But really what it is you feel like you would be weak or you'd be letting your players down if you like didn't do this thing. So some actions are motivated by necessity and some actions are motivated by avoiding feeling weak.
Yeah, I think that kind of gray area, a lot of it for me is how much I'm studying the other regions play, because there's an infinite amount of games from other regions. That's really where I think as a coach, you can really put in the hours, and there's not a necessity for me to watch all the games because it's simply not possible. But I think that's where a lot of the times I feel inadequate if I'm not up to date, if I didn't watch the matches from last night. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the bigger ones that come to mind.
Yeah, so I think that's a great example, because that's something where like you could do work and it's reasonable for you to do work.
Right.
But I don't know exactly how you find this. I think it's going to be through some self-reflection. But right now you somehow decide how much to watch, right? Like there's some internal calculus that on week to week, like you either watch a lot or you watch less or whatever.
Yeah. It's kind of a difficult thing. It's one of those things that I haven't really been able to balance. I'll watch a lot, and then maybe I will kind of burn out and then need to take more time. And then I will barely watch, and I can't find this healthy...
Exactly. So now I feel like this is salvageable, because I think that pattern of burnout, or like a ton of work followed by burnout, is 100% what you see when someone is driven by a negative emotion. Right? Because you're beating yourself up. You're like, I'm inadequate. I need to watch more. I need to watch more.
Yeah.
And then you actually burn yourself out, and then you don't watch. And this is what I'm saying in terms of optimizing performance, is that if you pay attention to that feeling that drives you to watch to the point of burnout, and you don't let that control you, on balance, I'd say 4 out of 5 people that find a way to balance that. And the way to balance it is actually your feeling of inadequacy at the beginning. Because that's what's driving you to burn out in the first place.
Okay, where's the mouth?
And so if you can become aware of that feeling of inadequacy and not be driven by it, then you actually won't burn out. And if you won't burn out, you'll actually end up watching more matches more productively than you would in the way that you are right now.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
So the key there is going to be that, like, sort of deciding... like sort of from a tranquil state of mind, how many hours of things you're going to watch. And once you sort of make like an initial determination, if you feel inadequate in the middle, you have to try really hard to at least be aware of that. And then ask yourself this question, because remember, if you don't watch the game, we're screwed. And if you do watch the game, you're screwed. But just ask, that's the paradox we were talking about. Just ask yourself, am I watching this game because I feel inadequate? Am I watching this game because I feel like I'd be letting my team down? Even though I don't feel like watching it, even though I'm tired, am I doing this because I don't, because of that feeling, the skull? Do you think you could ask yourself that question?
Okay, this is not the right place.
And when the answer is inevitably sometimes going to be that I am doing it because of those things, and what I do.
What do you think you do?
Yes, in here.
Something I've been trying to do more recently is just kind of sit with those feelings more.
Good. That's the right answer.
Myself.
Yeah, so like I know it sounds weird, but whether you watch the game, this is what's really confusing for a lot of people about like self-growth. The actual action you take at the end of the day is not rewiring the neurons. What rewires the neurons is asking yourself the question and being able to authentically answer it. I know it sounds really weird, but as long as you ask yourself the question and authentically answer it, you will move one step closer to balance. Because on some days, your mind is going to actually generate the thought and it'll say, you know what? You can take a break. And on other days, it's going to be like, you know what? You really you don't deserve to take a break. You need to watch this. And we can't know which one your mind is going to produce, and it's actually fine. Either one it produces is okay. The key thing is asking yourself the question and coming up with an authentic awareness of what's driving you.
Okay.
That makes sense, yeah.
Thoughts, questions about today? I know things got super abstract and confusing there at the end, so sorry about that.
No, that was really helpful. Because I am definitely aware that I didn't have a healthy relationship with that aspect of my work, especially.
She that thing. Oh, fuck. Oh, wait.
And then...
Oh, yeah. She had the fang. It's a tiger.
Because when it comes to social relationships, things like that,
now.
Or like, non-professional things,
I can't find a way to trick it, but it might look bad.
Once again, to that feeling of inadequacy.
I can't just duplicate this mouth and then put it out here and shape the form a bit
by that feeling.
And use it.
The more that you become aware of it, the more it'll start to dissolve.
It might look bad. It might look bad, really bad. I can just add a new thing later. It's barely noticeable.
And then the last question that I'll leave you with, which is I think ultimately, Soren, the one that you're going to have to answer for yourself, and this is for everyone listening.
Oh wait, I missed the breathing.
If you feel inadequate, you really have to be careful.
I almost forget this. I almost forget the breathing here.
To people that tell you otherwise.
Okay, hold on.
Right, because I think the biggest issue here is that
this is the physics.
You don't.
No, this is G. Okay.
It's a lose-lose situation.
So
no matter if your teammates say you're doing fantastic, you're going to swat that down. If I say it, you're going to swat that down. So sometimes people the people that we care about us, like when we're feeling inadequate, will swat down.
Almost forgot about it.
And you really have to understand where that comes from.
Specific here.
Why are you so quick to swat down what other people say?
Yeah. Definitely when I used to get compliments, I would very much answer in
almost
thanks,
forgot.
But you don't know me.
Almost.
Yep.
But I learned the socially acceptable thing is just to even if I don't truly believe it, to still to try not to show that, because that's a very disrespectful thing to show.
Yeah, so I understand that you learn socially what to say, but then the question is
but not on the inside. It's
and I think it's hard for you to answer this, but what is it that we don't know about you? Right? When your mind says you don't know me, it implies there's something inside you that people don't know. They don't know something about you. But when I ask you what that thing is, I'm not hearing anything.
No, I've definitely made a lot of progress in when people give me compliments or say nice things about me. That a lot of the time I do genuinely believe it, whereas maybe 5 years ago I would never.
Yeah.
So I don't feel
Welcome.
constantly inadequate.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't give you the impression that I feel that's how you.
Let's do this quickly.
Oh no, that is how I felt in the past.
It's simple rigging. Shouldn't take that long.
It's not that I always have that response. Oh, you don't know me. You don't know what's wrong with me.
Okay.
So here's what I've found when people have that kind of response, you don't know me. The more you tunnel down and look where that response comes from, the more it dissolves. Because usually that response is a leftover emotion from a traumatic experience earlier in your life. It's like you carry that sense of inadequacy, or like imagine what you were taught to believe about yourself between the 4th and 8th grade. Like the sense of identity. And so like what happens is when someone compliments you, is that part of your identity, which was formed back then, kind of like rises to the surface and tries to swat down the compliment. Whereas now, like how old are you, Soren? Ballpark?
25.
Okay. So like when we look at Soren, like 25-year-old Soren, who's won the North American Championships and is, you know, head coach and all this other good stuff, like that person has a lot of authentic reasons to feel good about themselves and to feel proud of what they've accomplished and things like that. But inside you, there's also like 8th grade Soren who gets chucked over the wall. And like that echo, the echo of that identity is what rebels against.
I should redo this one. I should.
And the more you tunnel down and you say, why am I swatting this compliment away? The more you look for it, you're actually not going to find an answer. It's just going to be that feeling. And the more you do that process of looking for why you're swatting down the compliment, the less that feeling, the more that feeling will kind of go down. And then you'll be kind of like, you'll walk around not feeling, you know, like occasionally like you're weak. Like it emerges at times, right? It's like open up weakness.exe and then it runs for 5 minutes and then it closes down.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful.
Thoughts? Questions?
Yeah, this was really insightful. Thanks for having me on the stream.
Guess what I'm thinking?
What?
I was like, oh, he's just saying that to be nice.
No. Definitely not. I mean, that was part of what I guess what a lot of people hope for when they talk to you. And I'll definitely have to go back and rewatch and think a little bit more about this stuff.
You seem to have a very contemplative face, so I had some trouble kind of reading where you are right now. Can you help me understand like where you are right now?
Contemplative face?
Yeah, you have a thinking face. You seem to be thinking a lot.
I think I'm just a thinker.
I think
not
you
as
are
much
too.
of a feeler.
Can you help me understand what was helpful or what was insightful about today?
Okay, let's see. It's kind of work. Gotta. And then work on in. Okay, physics. No, not yet. Wait, no, not yet. Let's do is simple stuff.
Just kind of understanding better why I am the way I am.
Simple stuff.
And some of the, I guess, complexes that I have, and bringing more self-awareness to them, and maybe understanding a little bit more where they come from. Of course, I know that my past is affecting me in the present, but not always so aware as to how or how to help it. And it definitely gets a little bit blurry, the kind of toxic feelings of inadequacy versus the more, like you said, like the necessity of what I have to do. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. What do you think is, well, I guess I already kind of know the answer, but I assume that meditation is a good way to kind of cultivate that self-awareness in your thinking and your patterns and things like that.
What do you think?
I think so, but it's a habit that I've never really been able to. It's never been able to stick with me for some reason.
That's too much. That's too much.
When I do it.
Tell me about that. What happens when you try to meditate, Soren?
What happens when I try to meditate?
You could do breathing below this as well.
It's not like a super uncomfortable experience or anything. I just have a hard time just sitting down.
The physics on
I think
top of
a lot of the things that I do, there's a very clear motivation to it. but with meditation, I don't really have one. Even though I know it's good for you, but
let me think about this for a second.
Sure.
Okay, that's a good thing.
So your first question was how do you gain self-awareness?
Mm-hmm. I have had kind of bouts of meditating consistently, and I definitely noticed.
Okay, let's think of that. Should be
especially an increased awareness of when I was
this.
really present and when I'm not, when I'm really in my own head.
Let's do 10-10 here.
Do you want an easy meditation technique or a hard meditation technique?
Okay.
Whatever you think is more
I'm going to
helpful.
give you a super hard one.
Okay.
So, we're going to practice quickly. I want you to sit up straight.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want you to, as you breathe in through your nose, say the word strength in your mind. And as you breathe out, I want you to say the word weakness in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Just do one breath.
Oh, I forgot to... Oh, I missed the 1 point over here. It's fine though.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now comes the hard part. Every time you walk through a doorway, I want you to breathe to yourself and inhale strength and exhale weakness.
I think I would feel really silly doing that, but yeah.
You don't have to say it, right? So it just has to be an internal thing, like just... And if the strength and weakness feels weird to you, you can even let go of that. Just inhale and exhale every time you walk through a doorway.
They can be
How does that feel to you?
Is
the strength weakness part a little bit cheesy?
I'm bad at English, man. I'm bad at English. Those things don't work.
So I'll leave that one up to you.
I had a therapist years ago that made me do a lot of kind of affirmations and positive affirmations. And
you know what?
Okay,
really
physics terms.
Perfect. Let's swap it around. We're gonna inhale weakness and breathe out strength. How about that?
That sounds great.
Does that feel more comfortable for you?
It sounds a little depressing, to be honest.
So which you tell me then.
No, it's the inhaling strength and exhaling weakness. It's not bad. It was more having to look at myself in the mirror and say these things out loud. I felt it was very cheesy, but
no, but you're not looking at anything. We're not.
No, not with you. I was referring back to what my
I think positive affirmations are terrible. I think you're not what I would recommend for you. And I encourage you. I know this sounds kind of weird, Soren, but I encourage you to like actually play around with it. So by all means, do weakness and strength or strength and weakness, whichever way you want to do it. You can do both or neither. The key thing is going to be going through the doorway. But if it feels cheesy for you, maybe that can be good. And if it feels depressing, that can be good. And just play around with it, right? Because it's two sides of the same coin.
I don't think cheesy's necessarily a bad thing.
Okay. So try that. It's going to be really, really hard. Okay? Like this is like a, like a professional level technique. And the reason is because our brain is actually wired to reset our thought process anytime we go through a doorway. It's why, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but if you you'll walk into a room and you'll be like, why did I walk into this room? What was I doing? There's actually this weird thing about doorways, but it's like the best way to cultivate self-awareness because it's so hard. Okay. That's the meditation.
All right.
Any last thought?
All-day meditation?
Yep, you're right. It is an all-day meditation. Would anything less be sufficient for you?
I guess not.
Right. So the other thing is that sometimes I use this meditation technique to trick people into meditating normally because they try this for a week and they're like, this is terrible. I'm just going to sit down for 5 minutes and meditate normally.
Focus.
Which if you decide to do that, that's totally fine.
I just went on Twitter.
Give it a shot.
Okay, basic terms.
All right,
I should be focused.
And any last thoughts or questions before we wrap up for the day?
Damn. Okay, how many do you need? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. The same.
Okay.
Thanks again for having me.
Thanks for coming on, man. I hope it was helpful, and I think you're fantastic. I really do think that your team is very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so
how did you respond internally?
This one.
No, genuinely thankful.
Yeah, I got that.
Because you're not you're speaking from your perspective, and I can be thankful for your perspective. I have a harder time when you're telling me objectively what I am. That's more difficult.
Fair, because I don't know objectively what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway, thanks a lot for coming on, and good luck with the season, dude.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Take care, man. Bye.
Yeah,
any suggestions who we should raid?
Let me see. Maybe my friend Myth. Have you ever had him on here?
I don't think so, but we can raid Myth. I think we've raided Myth before.
Is he online? He might not be online. Oh, he's not. So, you.
GG.
I think your chat should pick.
Okay, our chat will.
I'm sure they would have a better idea than me.
Okay, thanks a lot, and good luck. Seriously, dude.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Okay.
Take care, bye.
Keep doing what you're doing. Take care.
Let's move on to the next one.
All right, chat. Send Asmongold some love. Playing some WoW. Sounds like fun. And this is why I'm digging into this, Skara. Because
I watched this already. We watched this already. What should we watch? Negative self-talk. Yeah, this might be fun.
When your thoughts are not reality, they're just thoughts. And the way that you create that separation is through observation. Not trying to fix it, because fixing it is getting into it.
Okay.
Nice to it's Connor?
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Connor. I'm Alok or Dr. K, whatever you prefer.
All right. I've watched a lot of your stuff. I know.
Okay. So tell me, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I was a little bit nervous for a while ago. I know I talked for a couple months about coming on.
Okay.
But I wanted to wait until I knew I could talk about something I feel like could help a lot of people.
Awesome, dude. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because I have a pretty complex case and a lot of history of going through different kinds of therapy and different kinds of help, try to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So I wanted to help provide some insight on that for people, hopefully.
Okay, awesome, dude. That's actually really awesome of you, and I think very kind of you. And to also think a little bit about, a lot of people feel like they share problems with other people, but I think it's really thoughtful to spend some time until you're ready, to sort of talk about things in a productive way, which is really cool.
I think something that I've learned is that with all that I've dealt with is the way I see mental health issues is it's really hard for me to put labels on specific things. I might be diagnosed with depression, anxiety, OCD, all this stuff over the years. But I feel it just manifests in different ways in different people. So even put a label on something is so and then be for this issue, you need this medication or this kind of treatment. Over the years, I've gone beyond that and thought it can work different for different people.
That's awesome, man. I'd love to hear more about that. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about what your journey has been like, or how do we start?
Yeah, I started streaming on Twitch in high school, but that was after all this had started. So in 7th or 8th grade, I was doing great. I was super social, super happy. It was never down. I was always doing great. And then around end of middle school, early high school, I began to develop really bad anxiety and a lack of motivation to go to school a lot of the time. And I couldn't really pinpoint whether that was like social anxiety, whether that was depression, what it was, but it was really difficult at the time to deal with. And my family was concerned because I wasn't going to class. And
Can I
as
ask you a
that,
couple questions about that?
yeah,
What do you mean by anxiety?
I would wake up in the morning and just have like a pit in my stomach about even getting up and getting out of bed to go to school. And I couldn't exactly pinpoint why. Felt like a million reasons all at once. Like my brain was moving so fast, I couldn't even understand why I didn't want to go. I just knew I didn't.
Okay.
Um, that's something that, like, as I've begun to understand anxiety, I can pinpoint that feeling and get what it is, because at the time I didn't really know, and I would just kind of blame anything on anxiety.
Okay.
And then as I got through high school, everything got progressively worse pretty much throughout the years, and that's when I started streaming, was to kind of get an escape from it.
When you say everything got worse, what does that mean? What is everything?
Like, I would not be involved in as many social events. I would be kind of to myself a lot. A lot of my friends would be concerned, but I'd be, I'm fine, I'm okay.
Did you feel okay?
No, not at all. I felt terrible all the time. I was very depressed. I was very anxious all the time.
What does depressed mean?
No motivation and just a complete lack of feeling. And then if I do feel something, it pretty much always finds a way to manifest itself as sadness.
Okay. Wow, that sounds rough, man.
No, yeah, it was a really hard
isolating.
time. Yeah, so then as I kept going through high school, I did so many different kinds of therapy to try to get help, different kinds of medication. I've probably been on 10 different kinds of medication, being an SSRI. At one point, we thought it might be because of ADHD, so Vyvanse, stuff like that, or anything to like a stimulant. Did that. I did anxiety meds. Tried all that. Then I did different therapies. So CBT, which I still do. I have a therapist that I still work with here and there, but mainly because I'm really close to them. I don't really get too much out of it anymore, I think, but I still do enjoy it, like that talking time. I did that. I did exposure-based therapy last year.
Mm-hmm.
I've done DBT, which I think is like, forget how to describe it. That was like some like clicking thing. You know what that is?
It's not my understanding of DBT, but
there was, wait, which one is, hold on. I have a couple. There was one, EMDR. That's what it is. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that. And then DBT as well. So I've gone through a couple different things just to try to figure stuff out over the years, and nothing ever really seemed to click too much. Once I started getting through high school, with relationships specifically, I would be extremely anxious and extremely overwhelmed with emotion in relationships, be it friends and especially like romantic relationships. Like, I would just overthink everything. It would consume me every day. I mean, there was a time in high school where before I even go on a date, like I would have to like get there early to throw up in the bathroom before even. I'd be so nervous and anxious.
Oh, the bridge seems nice.
And a lot of that stems from a really negative self-image I developed for myself over the years dealing with that.
Like, I was saying the negative self-image developed from that or caused it?
It's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, I guess. Yep. I guess like in I remember like before I dealt with all this, I really was happy with myself and I wasn't down about it all the time. But then as things got worse, it felt like any negative situation in my life, I would view myself so negatively and blame it on me. Mm-hmm. So especially with relationships, it became, any time I was interested in somebody, it became like a case of limerence.
What does that mean?
So that is when so there's like romantic love, but then there's like limerence, which is romantic love, but like you require so much reassurance all the time because I'm constantly questioning myself and the relationship. So I'm constantly needing that reassurance for myself.
It's so jiggly.
And it would just become so destructive.
Did I overdo it?
Because I'd just be like,
did I
thinking people hate me, people are lying to me,
and all this stuff,
and it was very difficult.
I don't say this much,
that's
but
when
like
I got diagnosed with OCD. And looking back on like my childhood,
I think I overdo this a bit here. I have to ask the Glenn though.
I would do a lot of OCD tendencies.
I've never seen a relatable model like yours. Sag, man. Yeah.
What is it? Like a children's behavioral therapist.
Okay.
And
I might have overdo the jiggly aspect of this.
I would tap things when I leave, and I have freak out
might be a bit too much.
Most mundane
because
things.
this one is really roundish, so it's kind of easier to make it
right now.
jiggly.
I'm good. I'm just trying to make sure I cover everything.
Okay. So I'm going to pause for a second.
It's fine though. I still like it.
So I'm noticing like a slight tremor.
If it's too much, the Glenn can tell me to turn it down.
But I kind of like.
But it's fine for me.
Shaking a little bit. Are you?
I shake all the time, regardless.
Okay.
I don't even know if that's
It's only 2 hours stream.
I've always been shaking for a long time. My chat will actually.
I finished this, so I might have to end.
I show my hands on stream.
To the absent the Glenn, and then
or something. Because like I'm just always shaking.
Okay. Well, it was my discreet impression that you were not doing that at the beginning of our call. So I don't know if it just fluctuates with time.
Yeah, I think I might have to end early today.
Thinking deeply and trying to like
it is
things that I don't usually think about.
Okay, so I finished 2 rigging
I kind of suppress
within 2 hours.
Sure. Especially now that I'm doing better.
Not fast, but
sorry,
it's fine.
I just wanted to check.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to remember everything. And
so
I have to do some commission, all the commission off stream.
Thought that you had OCD growing up.
For some reasons.
Yeah, that and just other.
So I'm gonna set this up off stream.
Now,
so
when I was a kid. So then, after going through the proper channels, I got diagnosed officially with OCD, specifically ROCD.
That seems good.
Relationship-based
seems good.
OCD.
Short stream, really, 2 hours and early.
It's not really.
I'll see you guys tomorrow soon.
Reassurance, different things, stuff like that.
Let's find someone to raid.
That became a bit of an issue.
Not sure who to raid though.
And so then it was like I had so much diagnosed for me that I was like, I don't even know what to tackle. Like I was just like,
sure.
Like, what do I do? Like, do I take a medication for this? Do I tackle this? Is there? I know you talked a lot about like
did I rate Key said
looking back
the other days?
Like, well, is there like a trauma or something? And
yeah, rate her the other day. I did.
So yeah, I did a lot over the years. The most helpful thing was last year when I did.
Who should I rate now?
Exposure-based therapy. I went to a place in Florida for the summer, got an apartment, and stayed over there, and got help for that over the summer. And that was the most helpful thing, but it still didn't like fully feel like fix my issues the way I wanted. Like.
It's a few name I haven't raid for a while.
I felt like I wasn't myself a lot. Like when I streamed.
What was I doing? I was drawing. Yeah.
Okay. This
camera on throne. Oh yeah, I have a throne, but I don't like advertise it.
Even say work.
She can rate this one, I think. Wait, who did? How do I know this one?
Doomslayer?
Should I rate this one?
Perhaps.
Mama.
This is a paradise. One day when the chosen one arises again from the tomb. No, I'm gonna be honest, that's just some dog shit I conjured up out of my mind, but if that's a reference, then word.
Yeah, why not? That's great.
I just said perhaps because I like RNG'd it, because I'm wondering what you're talking about.
I don't know. I followed this VTuber, but I don't remember when did I follow. I don't know. I follow them on Twitter as well.
I thought I was aware, but I wasn't. Doomslayer was in.
They're doing art too, so let's rate them. Why
Just
not?
like me for real. But
Yeah, see you guys tomorrow on short stream.
Back in my team.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Finish to rigging. So yeah. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Oh my mamma mia. You did not redeem that word though. Respect. What is this? I'm so curious. You could have asked, but okay, sure.
Okay. Okay, bye bye. Bye, Theo. Wait, let me use the command.
Jump scare.
I should update it, but meh.
Balloons, hey man.
This one is like 1 year old already. So.
CJ, do you remember my old ass mic?
I don't know.
I don't know if CJ remembers. CJ is definitely an OG.
Bye bye, guys. Tomorrow I'll stream maybe around this time as well, but longer stream.
Anime now.
I think. Yeah.
You haven't seen Naruto in Fortnite?
Yeah. Bye bye. Bye.
Is this your old mic? Yeah, it's my headset mic. Fortnite QA crossover 1. Omni man, thank you for the raid. Welcome. Flirt